Hello, everyone. Welcome to our conference. My warmest greetings to everybody who is here. Today we have participants from different countries. My name is Tatiana Gulina, and I'm the engagement manager ACCA Russia. We are going to listen about blockchain technologies, what the future will be like. And we have extremely interesting speakers today. Anatoly Konkin, the head of DLT FinTech Association, and Alexey Arkhipov, CEO Kiwi Blockchain Technologies. Please write your questions in our chat. But before that, I'd like to introduce the head of ACCA Russia, Ilya Lushnikov. Ilya, here you go.
Thank you, Tatiana. Hello, everyone. I hope you can see me and hear me well. It's a great pleasure for me to open this webinar. In fact, ACCA continues holding cross-regional webinars, bringing together members from all over the world, and today is no exception, but today the initiative is in the hands of the Russian team. And the topic that we're covering today is the blockchain in finance, a topic I think is one of the acute topics of the past years. And supporters of the blockchain technology say that is the technology of the century that will transform a lot of domains, including finance and accountancy profession. So we're going to talk about this topic today. We are very delighted to know that we have nearly 200 participants from 16 countries, ranging from Europe and Asia and Middle East. So very happy that the experience from the experts in Russia can be interesting to other markets. While we see that there is potential to apply blockchain in our businesses in specific areas, there are still security risks that we need to bear in mind. And there are aspects related to regulation that can be also of paramount importance when you intend or consider applying any solutions based on the blockchain technology. As Tatiana said, the two outstanding speakers today really come from the very two powerful and influential organizations. One is the Kiwi company. Kiwi is one of the most advanced fintech firms in Russia and wider regions. So experts from Kiwi have participated in our webinars, events a lot of times, and always bring a lot of insights and value. And also the FinTech Association is also an influential organization which was established to facilitate dialogue between businesses and the regulators in Russia on application of technologies, including FinTech. So with that, we are very happy that the two experts, again, very welcome, Alexey, and very welcome, Anatoly. Please share your views on the evolution of the technology, where you think it can be applied. Are there any specific and interesting cases of application in finance in domains, and what ACCA members need to bear in mind when we talk about security risks, regulation and so on. So with that, I'm happy to hand over the floor to you. Please welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Happy to hear you, and thanks for introduction. First of all, I think I should introduce once again myself and Alexey. Alexey has a great experience in blockchain, started more than 8 years ago. Today, Alexey is, as it said before, CEO of Kiwi Blockchain Technologies, and QBT is one of the most popular company in blockchain in Russia. And my name is Anatoly Konkin, FinTech Association. FinTech was established by Central Bank of Russia and major financial institution with the purpose of developing technological infrastructure projects for the whole financial market in Russia. DLT department is working on MasterChain, blockchain platform for finance. Today, our agenda is to explain blockchain and then focus on use cases and some issues with regulation, with other aspects that could prevent flourishing blockchain in future. So I suppose we should start explain blockchain and idea behind. Actually, distributed systems have been exploring since the 80s, and the main difference that blockchain gives us is to provide the following characteristics. First, decentralized data. No one controls the data. Second, immutability. When data recorded, it will never be manipulated by the third parties. Smart contracts. Smart contracts is like a piece of code that is also stored in blockchain. This code could provide fulfillment of any programmed obligation automatically when some business events occur. And the last one, tokenization. This is a kind of a new market when goods, services, or virtual liabilities might be transferred among the blockchain users. Alexei, what do you think is the most favorite one that distinguishes blockchain from the other technologies?
Well, I can choose the favorite, but I should say that the most important word about blockchain is trust. And someone also calls it trust protocol. So why is it so important? You know, when you use, for example, internet, usually you send to someone the copy of the data. For example, if I will send you this presentation, it will be the copy. There is no difference between the original presentation and between the copy. So, and sometimes it is important that you can do the copy. For example, if you send someone $100, you should be sure that he didn't send it to someone else. For those reasons was invented the blockchain. The data is immutable, and you can double spend assets that are stored in this ledger. So, and because of that, you can trust this protocol. That's the most important thing, I think.
Also, I should say that while blockchain is a kind of sophisticated technology with both details in technology and regulation and business use cases, please feel free to type your questions. With Alex, we'll try to explain some more details. Then I suppose we need to go through the history of blockchain. As we discussed, distributed systems have a long story of evolving, but blockchain era was begun in 2009 with Bitcoin white paper. When Bitcoin gave us cryptocurrency, Ethereum provided us with ICOs in 14. The last year is the year of corporate adoption and new applications for business. And Alexei, please tell us when and why you start researching blockchain.
It was a very interesting time. Yeah, because I worked in Kiwi as CTO, and for me it was really important to understand how to decrease technical and other risks. So, this technology help you to decrease those risks, because you have shared ledger, many nodes, and you should not be worried about the centralized system.
Okay, next platforms. Being initiated about 10 years ago, technology itself is highly mature. We have open public networks with anonymous users widely used for crypto, and second, private corporate networks with identified nodes. Both public and private platforms are available in open source to build new services. At the same time, it is hard to directly compare platforms with some certain technical characteristics because blockchain is running on miscellaneous network infrastructure and distributed by GEO. Alexey, from your point of view, what is the most promising platform today?
I think in the future we will use blockchain as internet. Now people don't know and understand what exactly you use. You just use the whole internet. So I think that we will have the same situation in the future in blockchain. Now we have many platforms, but I hope and I think that in the future those platforms will be connected with each other. So you just will use the blockchain itself. And because of that, I can't say which platform is better.
Interoperability is one of the most popular theme today in blockchain, and I suppose we will go through the interoperability in next slide. Before we go to use case, I should outline that applying blockchain engage a number of organizations that is a kind of supporting ecosystem. Running corporate blockchain service implies to develop the service, adjust regulation, build blockchain network, connect companies, plug corporate nodes, and also the engineers who skilled how blockchain is operate in a business. From my personal point of view, the specialists in blockchain today for corporates is one of the most significant issue to flourish blockchain, especially in Russia. But I think this is only in corporates because in crypto world there are a lot of people who dive into technologies. And next, blockchain use cases by industry. We see that there are a number of industries where blockchain might be applied. All of these use cases are about intermediaries and interaction in untrusted environment. So while finance is all about untrusted environment, this is the major field for using blockchain. Next, we see the industries and use cases when blockchain applied worldwide, with some cases in pilot stage and some cases in production-ready mode. Alexey, I know that your experience goes beyond the finance. What do you think are the most powerful use cases for blockchain from the other industries?
So the most powerful use cases when you have many users, because of that you should find someone like a consortium or other parties to work with. So it's really important to have so many nodes. It means many users and companies or something like that. So and because of that, the most important cases are the cases in consortiums. So in R3, it's one of the most known consortium in Europe, or like fintech in Russia or like other consortiums all over the world. So you need to have huge community to get the value from blockchain. If you're trying to do this case inside your company, or you have 3 parties, I don't know, 5 parties, usually you don't have to use blockchain. You should use centralized ledger, database, or something like that. So, and the most interesting case I know is the case with decentralized asset storage between depositories, so they can share data between those depositories about documents, so they don't have to use their own databases. They can the distributed ledger, so they can see the history of those transactions, and it's a really good case for those depositories. This is one of the cases in Russia, and also all cases with public blockchains are really good because they shown that you can store value, you can do some kind of IPO, and other people will trust you, will buy your assets, and it's shown that we can create in this area the new whole market, but I will say about it later. I have some slides about it.
From my point of view, the second after the finance, my interesting cases are in intellectual property, where everyone could store the ideas, music, literature reported in blockchain, and then it could be a kind of a new market to sell and buy intellectual property without any intermediaries and with security and with fast transactions to share the ideas. I know in Russia also some cases in intellectual property are developing. Next, my favorite slide, use cases in Russia and finance platform, blockchain platform for finance. MasterChain is a certified blockchain platform. The idea behind is that financial products are very sensitive for security and for performance. In Russia, we have a special procedure to certify technology that uses electronic signature in some automated processes. MasterChain is a blockchain platform that was developed by Central Bank of Russia with the alliance of major banks. It has ghost crypto algorithm inside and feature for confidential data. MasterChain network was launched a few years ago, and now there are more than 50 nodes are connected. Alexei was also one of the initiators of MasterChain. Alexei, please tell us some insights how MasterChain went live.
Well, it's not such an easy thing to do blockchain, you know, because when you need to connect, for example, 20 banks, it's really a huge problem how to find something that they will like. I think that's the biggest problem why blockchain is not so mature or like it could be if everybody will have more trust to each other. Because, but the most interesting thing that the result. So because we have started this thing and now we have the network. I'm not working with MasterChain for the moment, but Kiwi also have the node in this network. So it means that all financial institutions could build the network of assets and send these access to each other. And this is really interesting because in the next years, you can use it for sending money, sending stocks, sending other assets, loans, other things like that. And it's really interesting inside, and I hope it will work good.
Being inside fintech, I should say that the most sophisticated part of master chain is not about technology, but about governance, about how banks could negotiate about transactions, about the rules of the network, about the new releases, how to upload new financial cases in master chain that could be downloaded by banks.
Yeah, and also about the whole idea of blockchain. It's really interesting because you have a distributed ledger. You can trust this ledger because of cryptographical solutions or other reasons like like this. But usually people in banks or people that work with paper documents, they need something else to be sure that your solution working well. So it's enough for IT geeks or for IT companies to understand that blockchain is immutable and you can change data there or things like that. But you can't usually use it because people need some paper or need some other thing that could guarantee the trust inside. It's very interesting point because you should change your mind, and this is the most I think complicated thing. So for example, in this example also you should use cryptography and certified cryptography to solve this problem, and this is how the old world and the new world of blockchain are connected to each other.
Alexei, while you were talking, I see some questions from our chat. Once again, please feel free to type your ideas, your questions. We will try to explain. The first one was about use cases and appliance in finance. Actually, we could explain some more details using master chain cases. Today, we have two major projects based on master chain. First one is trade finance system, and second is system for security. The first product that was launched last year is mortgage case. The idea of this case is to connect depositories to the common network with Central Bank of Russia and Rosreestr. Rosreestr is a state agency for the property. Using blockchain, first, clients may accelerate mortgage deals, and second, depositories reduce costs more than 60%, getting rid of paper usage. Another example, trade finance system, its first product is to tokenize bank guarantee. Bank guarantee network participants are banks and major corporates in Russia. As I said, mortgage case is production-ready service, and bank guarantees on master chain will be launched in September. Next, it's more about regulation. We have in Russia, it's called CFA, Digital Finance Assets Case, that could be used when special law will be applied in Russia. We hope it will be next year. I think we go through details of regulations next time. Before we go through the barrier.
Sorry, Anatoly. Can I add some words to the previous slide?
Certainly.
I see the question how blockchain to understand more how blockchain works. I'm sorry, Anatoly, I can see the presentation. Can you? Yeah. So you see here on this page, you see central bank and some depositories. So that are different banks. So they all have nodes of the ledger. So and they store in this ledger those guarantees. Guarantees, it means digital assets that represent those guarantees. So and everybody can see if they have rights for that. Can see who has issued this guarantee, and they can easily check that some guarantee that they get is not false guarantee. So it's like it works. And how it works a little bit deeply. So those banks have nodes, and they have protocol between these nodes. Nodes, it means just the computers that stores that ledger. So they have some protocol between those nodes, and these nodes, they use this protocol to understand what is right or not right. So in blockchain market, we have really different platforms. They have different protocols, but the main idea is that there are many nodes with computers. They store ledger, and they can understand what is right or not right, and that's all thing. So
what is more about mortgage case is that the procedures that depositories use to register could be applied like smart contracts in blockchain, and these smart contracts helps depositories to do automatically the process of registration and storing like a token of mortgage. Next, I think we should say some words about current barriers in blockchain industry that prevent flourishing technology through a lot of use cases that was shown before. Alexey, what do you think are the most significant barriers that prevent blockchain to flourish?
We have some barriers. Yeah. Now it's regulatory uncertainty because usually regulators don't understand how to work with the situation when they don't have some single point of regulation. For example, in distributed ledger of guarantees, you have many nodes and many people who are storing those guarantees. So you have many points you should see on, and it's usually it's usually complicated for central banks, and you need to change some regulations, and that's the big problem. And this technology, it works already for 10 years, but it's not really so mature like internet. And still we have barriers like understanding of technology, some instruments, some products, and things like that. So, and because of these barriers, we don't have this market is not huge for today, but will be, I think, huge in a couple of years.
Also, I should say that from my point of view, the market of blockchain has two stages simultaneously. The first one is about crypto, when technology is highly mature, the market is growing with some sustainable players inside. And the second one is blockchain for corporates that are just the beginning because of the speed of adjusting corporate processes inside, the speed of adjusting informational technologies inside big organization and with some issues to negotiate to build the network with different participants from different industries. Some words about regulation. We see the map where a lot of countries adopt laws to use blockchain and crypto. However, from my point of view, the issue is not only about blockchain technology. If we dive into cases, using blockchain means that all the processes should be in digital. And digital processes and digital transformation includes a great number of regulatory issues, not about blockchain. It's like a standards of electronic forms for documents, using digital signatures, API specifications, and so on. Alexei, from your side, is there a possible way to introduce a kind of universal law that could arrange all the aspects of technology?
Not yet, not yet. We have different law in the countries. So in Russia, we will have very specific law. It calls DFA law, and it's not like in really different like in other countries. But not only in Russia, in Europe, in USA, in Asia, they have different approaches how to regulate that, and we are still waiting for some unified regulations. But if you should see that in your country how to work with blockchain, because usually it's really specific, unfortunately.
Do you think that DFA law, digital finance assets law in Russia, could be kind of market changer, or it just opens some cases but not a game changer?
It will be the changer in Russia, but I'm not sure that some other countries will use the approach that was used in this law, because it's a really specific thing for Russian central bank.
Interesting. I suppose that both in Russia and in other countries, when government shows some steps in blockchain toward the blockchain, like maybe laws like DFA that for today has some restrictions for the users, but also these steps show that governments are ready for new markets, for new blockchain appliance, and corporates could use blockchain widely. Next slide is interoperability. Another issue that was also mentioned is the ability of blockchain to bring network together, or interoperability. There are four types of interoperability scenarios. First, transfer of digital token, the most popular one in crypto. Second, synchronization among the system, security properties, and performance. In fintech, a few months ago, we made a survey about using interoperability tools in corporates and in banks. Actually, we are leading Standard working group on API specification for blockchain. However, some companies suppose that approaches for interoperability should be customized case by case inside organization. And for today, technology incorporate and using blockchain incorporate still do not have a mature stage. So standardization could prevent developing new use cases. Alexey, based on your experience of blockchain project development, is there any necessity of standardization of blockchain? Alexey?
Sorry about that. So you are getting the value in blockchain when you have a huge network. So you need to connect all networks, and you need to connect all users to get more value. Because when someone has its own network and someone has other network, it's a problem because they can talk to each other. So, and it's really important thing to have the standardization in this case. We have many standards. There is ITU organization in Geneva that works on those standards, and we have they have many papers, and I will send those papers in the materials, in the links after this webinar to get more information, because there is really there is much information about cases, standards, and other things like that. And they work on standardization, and it's really important thing to have the network and one network for everyone.
Looking through the process of developing blockchain in crypto world, I see that a lot of protocols, a lot of services, a lot of startups are working on interoperability tools, and these interoperability tools actually are widely used for exchanging tokens and so on. Mainly, I think that interoperability for corporates just for the current stage of blockchain adoption in corporates still do not have a lot of use cases, because basic use cases are just in a stage of going into production. That's why we should think about interoperability, but it will be more popular in a few years later for corporates. Future of blockchain. A lot of experts refer to Gartner curve that shows blockchain is starting to climb on plateau of productivity. Alexey, how do you see blockchain in future?
Well, this slide is very interesting, because this forecast was made in 2018, but I still use this forecast because it works well. It works well because now we have the picture that was predicted in this year. It's very interesting, and as you can see, in 2030 we will have about 3,000 billions of dollars in this market. What it means? I saw the question that was sent us that will be the blockchain the market, or will all the solutions use this as the network? I think the answer is that everybody will use blockchain as the network, like an internet, but not internet of information, like internet of value. So you will use it in all products, but those products will be huge in 10 years, just in 10 years. Now we are now in the beginning, so but it's still really interesting because it's a huge market in the future.
Alexey, thank you. Maybe we should see if there are any questions that we should explain in more details.
Yeah, I see the questions, and I think many people want to get some details about some specific things. So I think we could start from the first question. Okay, if someone has a question, could you please write plus in chat or your question. And we could start with how did we could start with the decreasing of mortgage receiving. Could you explain that, Anatoly, for the Nikolai?
Nikolai, how the decreasing of mortgage receiving was achieved? Could you explain some details? I go back to the picture. You know, actually, as is process includes the process of paper usage when depositories have to provide documents in paper. They send its documents to depository to first of all store the digital or nowadays paper mortgage. Next, depository of storing the mortgage have to provide special procedures with reports for Central Bank of Russia that the mortgage is successfully stored in depository. And after that, this depository of storing have to send special paper file for depository of accounting, also with provided information that mortgage is storing. So next step, when depository of accounting account in its system this mortgage and also send the report to Central Bank of Russia. This is this process with a lot of steps to improve paper reports. New process in master chain when all the participants are inside one network and mortgage is a digital token with smart contracts that check the data inside mortgage and do automatically all the processes for mortgage. Moreover, Central Bank of Russia see the report automatically without any additional procedure to receive papers about mortgage. So that's why the reducing cost is so high. It's about 60% because a lot of processes are in blockchain with smart contracts. Next question is also please, if we need to dive into more details for questions, just type it. Could you highlight what scientific knowledge, hard skills, if any, are required for financials, accountants to work with blockchain-based processes, products, etc.? Alexey? About specific knowledge. Maybe I will start. Actually, there are special knowledge how blockchain works, but in practice, there are a lot of procedures like in usual informational systems, like in usual requirements in laws, but it should be actually adapted for blockchain. Smart contracts itself is like a program code with special characteristics that this code is stored in blockchain and automatically could be running in all the nodes inside network. I suppose after this session, we with Alex will provide you some links with video, with some instructions how to understand blockchain, both in technology and in business ways. Alex, would you like to add something?
Yes. I got 6 questions before this webinar, and I would like to answer on these questions. The first question was, will blockchain be a niche sector or will it be integrated into every area in the future? So I hope that I already answered. We have slide with that calls future in blockchain. We will send you this presentation after this webinar. So of course, as a network, it will be used in different sectors. It will be not a niche sector. It will be the network like internet. So the next question is, I need to learn basics how it works and what is the process of generating blockchains and who governs it. Thank you for these questions. So how it works? Blockchain is the software. So you need the computer or the server usually to download and install this software. This software will store the data and will store transactions, and this is the ledger. The ledger, it is many computers that store your data. So first of all, you need to download this software and install it. So who governs it? It depends on blockchain. It depends on blockchain because you can have distributed ledger and public ledger. When you have no governance here. People are deciding what to change in this software, and people just changing this software on the servers, and it's decentralized. It is the decentralized process. So also we have private blockchains. When you have some operator, he usually has some rules, and he's developing this software and knows just downloading that and store it like that. So it depends. You can do it differently. So the next question is applicability of blockchain in smaller economy. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that I understand this question correctly. If you could write some words about it in the chat, that will be great. So science blockchain is very hard to get hacked. Will it replace the current application that runs with computer language like C++ and Java? No, no, because you can develop blockchain applications using C++ and Java too. For example, the first blockchain of Bitcoin was actually developed using C++, and some blockchains like Corda are using some specific Java implementation like Kotlin. So it's different. It's not about the languages you use. It's about the approach you use when you can distribute data and store this data in distributed ledger. So regulation of blockchain and cryptocurrencies in Russia, legal aspects. Now we have the law. It calls the law of DFA. DFA, digital financial assets. In Russian, it calls цифровые финансовые активы. Now it's the second reading in Gosduma. So it's not the law. It's some proposition of law. And I think you can find it, or we can send you some copies of this law with the materials that we will send after this webinar. So the next questions, if you are not the programmer, how to understand that there is no manipulations in blockchain? Very interesting question. We are talking when we are talking about blockchain, we are talking about trust, about transparency, and things like that. But of course, if you are not the programmer, it's not easy to understand what is happening in blockchain, and you should have specific skills to understand it. But you can use third parties, audition companies, some websites, and other things like that. We can go deeply if you need it. So that are questions that I had. So now we can see the chat. Anatoly, could you help me to find the next question to answer?
I see the question about 259 law and how it influences blockchain industry in Russia. Actually, we have 3 laws or proposition of laws in Russia that could influence the blockchain industry. First one that was submitted last year is 259. This is law, someone could named it law for crowdfunding. But this law is more about the rules how companies could invest in small businesses, and mainly it's about how to adjust current processes for digital process for investing. But the second law, as Alex said before, the law for DeFi is more about blockchain, is more about how to use distributed systems to exchange some digital rights inside without any intermediaries. And the third law is about the digital money, but it's more under discussion. I hope that the law of DeFi we will see next year, and industry will be ready for new cases with digital finance assets. Next, I saw some questions about how to adapt blockchain in developing economies. From my point of view, there are no differences for blockchain about size of economy. And in corporate, I suppose the major issues is about governance, how to organize negotiation between corporates to roll out blockchain network, what universe rules inside this network will be applied, and what use cases will be installed in this blockchain. So there are no differences in developed or developing economies. Moreover, technology itself is open source. The platforms that we saw in the previous slides are available in GitHub. So anyone with engineering skills could download the source code and set up a new network, blockchain network for corporates. However, the question about governance and the question how to plug new nodes for corporates, this question should be discussed.
And I see, and I see one. Sorry, you would like to add something?
Yes.
I see the question from Denise Moshkin about my last answer. What you mentioned apart from audits, some sites. I mentioned that this ledger, the blockchain ledger, is open. So there is many companies, they can audit that. So they can get the code of smart contracts, or they can see the transactions in blockchain and analyze it. And you can hire those companies to understand what is happening in some specific blockchain. There are many blockchains, so you need to find specific company that understands the blockchain you want to audit. So, and you need to specify it. So, and also about sites, usually you have sites that are showing what is happening in blockchain. You have, because you have many blockchains, you have specific sites for the specific blockchain. You should find it and understand how it works and what this data means. That's what I tried to explain. So I hope I answered.
Thank you for question, and for me there is a very interesting question. What current technologies in finance can be replaced by blockchain? For example, it is SWIFT system, which is used worldwide for payments, to issue and confirm letters of credit and etc. Can it be fully replaced by blockchain? What is your projections? Actually, nowadays, SWIFT as association is also looking toward blockchain initiatives, and SWIFT see the major risks in blockchain. SWIFT made some experience without blockchain, like BPO, to automate the processes like letter of credit. However, our banks see a lot of restrictions of this instrument because without any decentralized procedure to run automated processes, it can't be applied widely. So I suppose not only SWIFT, but other companies, associations, central banks will use blockchain to automate instruments like letter of credits, bank guarantees, and other instruments of trade finance. We see a lot of use cases, not only worldwide like Marco Polo, but also in Russia, case in master chain for trade finance and bank guarantees, and some other companies is also working on projects like this. Thank you. And next
I see the next question. What is P? How it is same or different to Bitcoin? Unfortunately, I don't know, because and I can say why I don't know. There are thousands of blockchains for the moment. So and if you will read every paper about this blockchain, it's a huge work. I know that they trying to mine data on phones, but no details about it, because you need to go deeply in every blockchain to understand what is the difference between Bitcoin and this blockchain. You can do this as work, but you can't do it for all blockchains, because it's thousands of them. I know about 10 most influenced protocols, but there are thousands. Sorry, I can't answer. Maybe Anatoly, you know what is P? Or PI or P?
Actually, no, but I think in addition that in fintech or in Kiwi, nearly every engineer and developer had some experience to start a new network developed by blockchain technology. However, there are a few sustainable networks in public sector and a few sustainable networks for corporates, because it's hard to organize the network with a lot of participants in permissionless networks, and even more hardly to organize corporates to plug into private network. Also, I see a question about what you mentioned apart from audits, some sites. I think
I answered already, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And I see one more question. Could you please suggest the best source from your point of view where we can follow the news changes in blockchain sphere, some platform, website, etc. The best source is Twitter. You can follow some people on Twitter and see all the news there. Maybe you can also read the reddit.com, but it's I think more for programmers or techno geeks or guys like that. So you can find the Twitters of the leaders of some networks like Mir, like Cosmos, like Polkadot, like other public networks, and there you can find all the information. Unfortunately, I don't know some website that accumulate this information for the moment.
I think me with Alex will try to make a kind of top 10 sites or names in the industry that maybe should be viewed regularly.
Yeah, I see one more question. Could you highlight what specific knowledge or skills, if any, are required for financials, accountants to work with blockchain-based processes, products? I think you should not have some specific technical skills. You just need common sense. First of all, if someone will come to you with some blockchain project, you should ask them how many people use this blockchain. Do you have some clients in your business that already use the same blockchain? Because the most important thing is not to choose blockchain or understand some specific blockchain. The most important thing, who is using this blockchain and what product you could do with this user together. If you have, for example, the best world blockchain, but no one in your market or in your area use this blockchain, it's not useful. So so you need some understanding of those principles, but you don't need some specific technical skills or things like that.
Also, I think I should highlight the law and the rules for digital signatures in Russia and worldwide, because a lot of functions of blockchain uses the digital signature, and actually these rules manage the blockchain usage at all. Please type your questions. We try to answer some more. because you know, remote webinars, it's tricky stuff because we with Alex can't see you and can't understand what the major fields that we should explain in some more details.
If we have no questions, we will complete our webinar. Thank you for our experts. Thank you very much, Alexey. Thank you very much, Anatoly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for participating, and we will send a presentation and our recording tomorrow morning. Thank you very much, and have a nice day, and see you again with the ACCA.
Thank you.